Why do leftists pretend to be nice? Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and due to a lot of general awfulness in recent months coming from left-leaning people, it has become very plainly obvious to anybody who is judging things even slightly objectively that these are not actually nice people. But by God, they are extremely convinced that they are. Just take a look at how notorious feminist bully, or rather, internet troll slayer Lindy West talks glowingly about herself in the interview with Ann Summers from a few months ago, in relation to the fallout from the debate that she lost to Jim Norton. Never once does she even attempt to acknowledge Jim Norton's actual argument, which was fairly simple and based around the notion that he thinks that in comedy, nothing should be off limits just as long as somebody is legitimately trying to be lightheartedly funny. Because the purpose of comedy is to make us forget about our worries momentarily, even if the subject matter is troublesome. Well, according to Lindy West, Jim Norton is just a rapey joke edgelord and an icky mean man who must have a bunch of non-human trolls at his beck and call, ready to come attack the nice feminist, who totally didn't want to encourage blatant censorship in the most crucially necessary uncensored aspect of entertainment, which is comedy. No, Lindy is the nice, innocent woman who just doesn't like rape. And everybody who doesn't agree with her is a bunch of evil, rapey monsters who like to make rape jokes while they watch rape porn and rape women. Obviously, it's so simple. Now, despite how it would appear if you actually read some of Lindy's articles published over the past year or two on The Guardian, Lindy isn't actually a complete moron. I know it's hard to believe. So, you have to keep in mind in regards to that debate which was years ago. At this point, she has to know that she is blatantly lying when she represents the people who got mad at her after that debate, calling them, in so many words, foaming at the mouth rape mongers. So how can she justify saying such untrue things? How can Lindy West sit on a stage lying about probably thousands of people knowingly, painting them out to be basically a bunch of monsters and herself as a saint? How can she justify that? Well, the answer here would obviously be elitism. People like Lindy West more than probably are completely aware that she is treating people with a negative double standard in the way that she gets to sit in a position of privilege, bragging about slaying trolls, and then continues to capitalize financially on being a supposed victim. She has to know she's hurting individuals and entire demographics when she characterizes them as inhuman mythological creatures that live under bridges who like to glorify raping women, but she simply doesn't care because she thinks she's better than them. Case closed. Bottom line. Now, don't let me trick you into thinking that I think I'm so much better than her. I'm not. In my youth, and well into my 20s and probably early 30s, I was one of the biggest left-wing elitist assholes that ever existed, which is something I could make an entire video about. So let me tell you how these people think, because I used to be one of them. They'll find ways of passive-aggressively insulting people because they obviously want to insult them, but they feel they are too much of a noble person to lower themselves to insults. To avoid getting into an insult match, they'll drastically hope with all of their hearts that one of their friends will come white knight and do the dirty work, and fully confront whomever they want to insult, which is why they often tag their friends in comment thread arguments. They're hoping somebody else will come insult them for them. Even worse, if you point out that they are seemingly incapable of simply engaging in a discussion at all, but instead resort to passive-aggressive insults and green-lighting their friends to abuse you, all the while reprimanding you for subtle word choices such as saying an idea is retarded or something, if you point out that their behavior is shitty and counterproductive towards having a discussion, they'll very often accuse you of playing the victim. You see, these are people who don't just think that they are right, they assume that they are right. But they've never really even fairly examined the arguments. Their entire worldview is based around a profound sense of trust that they, the leftists, are the good people, and anybody who ever disagrees with leftists are the bad people. When confronted with the situation of a conversation with a non-leftist, or a leftist who happens to criticize aspects of the left, a conversation where they might have to defend their positions, or even worse, a conversation where they might actually be incapable of defending every piece of their political bracket, if this happens, they get enraged. They want to say, "Go away, peasant," but instead they say, "Stop trolling me." Now, they are fully aware that they are being rude when they dismiss somebody in this way, but they cannot bring themselves to speculate about whether or not they are being downright vicious and dehumanizing towards the person they accused of being a troll, because their base assumption regarding the situation is that they are eternally correct as leftists, eternally noble, eternally good, and anybody who challenges even simply the DNC or left-wing economics must be some sort of racist or even Nazi or something. I'm not saying that people never troll, because they do, and sometimes I personally still mistake sincere people for trolls in my comment section because what they are saying is just so fucking idiotic. But sanctimonious, elitist leftists can't even bring themselves to investigate the arguments because they think they are too good to have to do it. They did, after all, graduate from a college where the professors were over 90% leftist, telling them that their way was the right way. They've also met nice, moderate Muslims who've told them that Islam is a doctrine of peace. And they know that when somebody says Black Lives Matter, they aren't saying that all lives don't matter, but rather that they are focusing on Black lives at the moment. Exclusively. Of course, for numerous years. Only Black lives. But they're not saying that all lives don't matter. These leftists know that feminism is not about hating men or getting special privileges for women, but about equality, as is plainly evident in the dictionary. However, due to their sociology class, they also know that the dictionary isn't properly equipped to fully define concepts like racism or sexism. These leftists all know quite a lot, remember. Even stuff that contradicts the other stuff. But that's part of the fun. Mental gymnastics and doublethink are profoundly difficult. And if you can't keep up, you're just a second-class citizen to them. And if you actively choose not to engage in the game of left-wing ideological mind games, then obviously that's because you're just a jerk. How dare you say that demanding trigger warnings in schools is a form of censorship? Don't you have any compassion for women who have been raped, you asshole? Oh, you're mad at me for calling you an asshole? See how much I care. I'm not being sexist. You're a man. It's impossible for me to be sexist to you. You mad, bro? You see, at the end of the exchange, the only thing that has been made clear is this. The leftist ideologue does not care about engaging in a civil manner. They do not care about your feelings, and they don't even particularly care about being right or wrong. They think they don't have to care, because they legitimately do believe that they're better than you. And there's a wealth of leftist media telling them to keep feeling this way, as if they can just block you on social media and you'll disappear forever. But of course, they're beyond wrong. Drop me a comment, help me out on Patreon if you want me to keep making videos, and stay tuned.